Coming up on the programme this week, we're big and posh. Well, the cars are anyway. The Mercedes CL600 is Glenda's chariot, whilst Chris Goffey, who's actually quite posh himself, enjoys a rather sophisticated Japanese car, the Lexus LS430. Obviously, the Impreza is a critically important car for Subaru in the UK, as well as exciting for all of us. So any changes, Ed, and I know you've got the keys to it.
I have got the keys, Richard.
Any changes are going to be absolutely critical. So what have you done? Is this just a facelift?
This is far more than a facelift. This is an entirely new Subaru Impreza. A great car, just got even better.
So what are we talking about? New headlamps and that's it, or like body, engine, the works?
The entire body, the entire chassis, the transmission, the engine have all been re-engineered to raise Impreza driving performance to even greater heights.
Critically important, of course, in the UK for you. It really matters.
Absolutely. The Subaru Impreza is our most important model in the UK.
Oh, God, I wish I hadn't
asked. Our performance in the UK is such that
I
the
wish I'd
sales
stop
are the highest
talking.
in Europe, particularly of the turbocharged.
Oh, wake me if he says anything interesting.
Relish. And maybe one day you'll get
Shouldn't this be about driving the thing? Just give me the keys.
Are the highest in Europe by far.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Yep. Oh, come on.
The performance of the new Subaru Impreza while satisfying the
this guy can talk.
European type approval
Do I really look interested in emissions?
Environmentally friendly and
Oh, I wish he'd just give me the keys.
0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. A top speed of over 140 miles an hour. Are you really sure you're ready for it, Richard?
Yes, give me the keys. I mean, you know, on and on. Just want to drive it. Oh yes, thank you so much. Okay. As soon as you pull away, there's no doubt that you're in an Impreza turbo, mostly because of that engine note. It's still that gorgeous, horizontally opposed Boxster, 4 cylinders, beating out that way, so you get a lovely raspy note. Can't mistake it for anything else. Huge amount of torque, so you pull away, leap off, and then the drive itself, well, first impressions, the suspension is just overwhelmingly competent. It soaks up the smaller bumps and feels actually quite comfortable, but as soon as it gets a bit harsher and you start to push the car, it tightens up and you can feel it is going to keep the car glued to the road. It is nice to know that the Subaru is not going to break down. It is going to be utterly reliable, dependable, a car that you can use every single day. It's no accident that the Impreza benefits from what is probably the world's best 4x4 system. That system is the result of Subaru's years of involvement at the very top level in rallying. Then there's the steering, which is absolutely gorgeous. It weights up beautifully. It's absolutely rock steady about the straight ahead, and as soon as you start to put a bit of lean on it, it'll tighten up and weighten up so you can just feel what's happening. It's actually very, very comfortable. The driving position feels just right and the suspension comfy. Speed does creep up on you still. That's another thing it has in common with the old Impreza. You think you're pressing on nicely, then you look down and realise you've just binned your licence. Driving an Impreza would become addictive. If you have one of these things, I don't doubt you'll find yourself taking it out of the garage just for a bit of a tour around. And that's in a 4-door, 4-seater saloon. The Impreza's looks have always been secondary to the performance, so we won't get too caught up on it. Suffice it to say, the only really contentious bit is the front, which does look a bit wide-eyed and eager. We'd rather it looked a little bit more mean like the old one. But it is all about the drive, and at first drive, it's difficult to tell much. You need about a week with an Impreza to do it in depth, and we will do that for you soon. But at first impressions, certainly, if anything, it's perhaps a bit more sophisticated, which in my mind makes it a bit more of an all-rounder. Fans of the really raw aspects of the old Impreza might say it's gone a bit soft. For me, it still offers unbeatable performance and comfort and reliability, and at under £22,000 for the top-notch version. Nowhere else can you get that kind of performance for that kind of cash. So I see no reason why the Impreza shouldn't continue to enjoy the same cult following it has to date. Nice one.
You know, I like my men to be big, sporty, sophisticated, clad in leather, and most of all, powerful and fast. Come to think of it, I like my men a little bit like I like my cars, and I've just embarked on a new relationship. And here he is. It's the wonderful Mercedes CL600. I think I'm in love. Now, I like my partners to be streamlined, and Mercedes have done a wonderful job at shaking off that image that they're as big as barges. You see, darling, the diet did pay off. You're looking lovely and streamlined now. Right up my street. When I'm looking for a new car, and you girls might not agree with me, but performance is everything. And this CL600, well, it hasn't disappointed me. I mean, it's supposed to be this grand, steady tourer, but I tell you what, when you pull away from the curb, it's like driving a little sports car. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. This might be something to do with its rather large engine. And we like a large engine, don't we? It's a 6-litre V12 with 367 brake horsepower. And it gets me going, you know, right up to 60 miles an hour. And that only takes 6 seconds. It's amazing. I told you it was a wolf in sheep's clothing. When I'm out with my new car, I like it to turn heads. I like it to have a presence on the road. And this car certainly does. I'm proud to be with it. I mean, it's as if it's saying, look at me, I'm a Mercedes and I'm king of the road when it comes to luxury cars. Dominant, we like that. Oh, and I must just add, I don't like my cars when they get old and tatty. I like them young looking, you know. So it's just as well that Mercedes offer a 30-year corrosion warranty with this car. Should keep its looks with that. When you start a relationship, it's not all on face value, is it? What's inside is important as well. And I like my cars not to be too complex. But this is, unfortunately, especially around this centre console, there's a lot of fiddly buttons. It's going to take a little bit of getting to know, but you know, I don't suppose that's such a bad thing. And I tell you, it more than makes up for it by offering this massage facility in the seat. Oh, and this seat, it also adjusts in every which way, so it makes sure you're perfectly comfortable. A car that gives. We like that. And I know it might not seem too big in here, but it is a genuine 4-seater, you know. It does have enough room for me to invite 3 friends along for the ride, which is always nice. Now, to the handling. I like a firm, smooth ride. I don't like any of that rocking and rolling around. But in this car, when you're going around the corners and the curves, it's as solid as a rock, which is nice. And when you're driving along, it's as if you're floating. And when you arrive at your destination, well, you're as fresh as if you've just started. What can I say? I've had my head turned. I've had a lovely time with my new friend, the Mercedes CL600. At a little over £80,000, it's not cheap. But I tell you, it's in a class of its own. It's got no rivals. It's exclusive. I think I'm falling for it. And I tell you, I'm picky when it comes to my cars. The thing I like about it is it's elegant, it's sophisticated, but it's got that sporty little kick when you want some fun. It's like a steel hand in a velvet glove. I tell you, I think I'm falling in love. So all you rival suitors out there, you better pull your socks up, otherwise this could be a long relationship.
This week's used car has pedigree Italian breeding, stylish good looks, an award winner no less, and for all-round ability, it's pretty hard to beat. It's Fiat Punto, a car that's great for nipping around town, is surprisingly roomy for a small car, and also can be picked up pretty cheaply. This is a 96 NREG 55SX, which is just one model up from the base 55S. It's only got a titchy 1.1 litre engine with a very meagre 55 brake horsepower, but that also means that it's very frugal. This car will return you mid-40s to the gallon. And that means it's cheap to insure too. This is just Group 3. The Punto was first introduced in 1994, so the earliest examples are on an L plate. This ran through till late 1999 when the Punto had a minor facelift, along with a new range of engines. There are many models and engine combinations from 1.1, 1.2, 1.4 and 1.6 petrol, plus two 1.7 diesel engines. Now this 55 SX 1.1 does get a few bits and bobs on it, like central locking, electric front windows, front fog lights. It gets a rev counter and map lights as well, to save you fumbling about in the dark when taking your girlfriend home. So what goes wrong on the Punto? Well, not much. It's got a galvanised body, so it shouldn't rust. Many started out life as hire cars, so make sure it looks tidy all round and there are no bumps and scrapes on the bumpers. This car has done 43,000 miles and cost from a dealer £3,000. New, it was £8,500. If £3,000's too much, well, we've seen early Puntos for less than £2,000. A 95 55S 3-door with only 30,000 miles we saw for £1,900. Fancy a bit more oomph under the bonnet? Well, a 1.2 75 ELX 5-door with average mileage can be yours for £3,000. Boy racers on the lookout for a Punto go for the 1.4 GT with 126 brake horsepower. Pay £3,500 for an L-Reg through to nearly £7,000 for a T-plate. So, our verdict on the Fiat Punto? Well, we can find very little to fault it on. It's got a good ride, plenty of space, and it's a car that sells itself very easily. Trawl through the classified ads if you fancy one, and if you find one that appeals to you, make sure that you're sharp, because these things sell quickly. So that's this week's used car tip, the Fiat Punto.
Coming up after the break, Chris Goffey is at the launch of the Lexus LS430.
It's been 10 years since Toyota launched the Lexus LS400, a car which shook the European luxury car makers to their socks. After all, Toyota was a mass-market car maker, and, the argument went, mass manufacturers just can't give a luxury model the degree of individual attention those buyers demand. Wrong. In fact, the LS400 was quieter, it was smoother, it was better air-conditioned, it was better riding, and it was faster than all its rivals. The only thing it lacked was heritage and charisma, and that was something that all the money and engineering know-how that Toyota threw at the Lexus project just couldn't provide. Well, now there's a new Lexus, the LS430, and after 10 years of awesome success in the luxury field, well, perhaps Lexus has established its own charisma and heritage. Not that they've changed the appearance of the car that much. Lexus always had a bland, anonymous-looking front end, and that's carried over onto the new model. Lexus's engineers were obsessed with cutting CD values and wind noise, and that's resulted in the lowest CD value in the market segment. The new headlamps are rather in your face, you could say, even ugly. But the appeal of the big Lexus to its discerning buyers was never on face value. They knew what lay under the skin. But it's inside the Lexus that the almost fanatical attention to detail and engineering excellence really shows. In things like the leather trim, the perfect Californian wood, the brushed aluminium, and this wonderful instrument panel that lights up from virtual reality and which created such a stir with the first LS400. The list of extras just goes on and on and on. There's a door closer system, no more slam doors that fold in. The front seats switchable between sport and high mode. Electric memory passenger controls for the Vibra navigator system fitted as standard. A CD auto changer, electrically multi-adjustable front in the front, electric rear window blinds, rear view mirrors dip for reverse for the driver to adjust the front passenger seat. The steering column electrically adjusts. And it's fitted with the most sophisticated hi-fi system you've ever seen, designed by Mark Levinson, well-known Californian manufacturer of incredibly expensive hi-fi systems. Now, in the past, he would never put a system in a car because he always said, well, the ambient noise is so high in a car, you can't tell the difference between excellent hi-fi and truly great hi-fi. But in the Lexus, he thought it was calm enough and quiet enough in the cabin for you to really appreciate one of his systems. Let's see if he's right. Well, after a few miles, you have to say he was right. It really is uncannily quiet in here. You can't hear the engine. There's very little noise coming back from road surface or bumps and thumps. You really do rather want the radio or the CD on to block out the eerie silence. Now 4.3 litres, the V8 churns out over 280 horsepower and a stonking 417 torque figure. Push your foot down and a computer that the press release describes as a brain the size of a small planet surges the car away with seamless gear changes until you suddenly notice you're doing instant disqualification speeds without even knowing how you got there. And if you were unlucky enough to hit anything, well, a plethora of airbags explode from literally every corner of the car to make sure that you and your precious occupants remain unhurt. It doesn't roll or pitch. The increased wheelbase give it even more stability over the old model. The steering is absolutely pin sharp. You can place this car to an inch, and the traction with the big fat tyres is really extremely good. You can't get over the fact that it's a big heavy limousine, but even so, you can hustle it along at really surprising speeds on these country lanes. You have to say this LS430 really is a truly great car, and it's a notable step forward from the old LS400. It's still relatively bland and innocuous, but that's what people who buy these big Lexuses like. They don't want to advertise their wealth with a three-pointed star, a flying lady, or even a leaping cat on the bonnet. They're people who value their creature comforts for what they are and not for what they represent to other people. Sounds a silly thing to say, but at £50,000 or thereabouts, this Lexus is great value, especially when you compare it to the price of what used to be called the best car in the world.
So, you've gone without beer and nights out for about 250 years and you've saved up about £30,000 for your dream car. You want a Porsche. What do? Do you go straight out and buy this? Your 30 grand will get you the basic Boxster, or do you be a bit more patient, wait another 50 years without beer and nights out and save up 36 and a bit thousand pounds for the Boxster S? Well, let's find out. There you go, little piggy. Settle in. Now, don't be a snob and dismiss this out of hand just because it is the entry level. Sure, it's the basic Porsche, but it is still a Porsche. And don't forget, it was upped. When they introduced the S last year, they actually upped the power output of this by about 20 brake horsepower and, more significantly, lowered the price by about 3 grand. So you've decided you can't wait a moment longer. You've got to blow your 31 grand and buy yourself the basic Boxster. What do you get? Is there actually a bargain Porsche? Well, don't forget, we are talking prestige mark here, so I think value for money is probably a better phrase. You get a reasonably powerful engine. There's not a lot there at low revs, but as soon as you get up to high, sort of 5.5 to 7,000 RPM, it starts to work quite hard, and more importantly, it sounds gorgeous, snarling away just behind my left ear. One thing it does that I particularly admire in any car is it's willing to flog itself to death. It'll rev and rev and rev. I think the closest thing to that was Dick Turpin's horse did something similar. I like a car that'll willingly rip itself to bits if you ask it to. Not that I will. It's still quite expensive. In case you're wondering about those all-important figures, by the way, 0 to 60 comes up in about the 6-second mark. Top speed, if you're feeling completely balmy on the autobahn, about 140 miles an hour. Thank you very much. So, where are we in our quest to find out whether this is just a budget Porsche or whether it really is something of a performance bargain? Well, sure, it's got nothing on a 911, but then what do you expect? It's about half the price. And if it had been around 5 years ago, what would the competition have been? Well, just the Mazda MX-5. That was about the only other roadster. But now it's a very different story. There's plenty in the same kind of league as the Boxster. This is what the trade refer to as a Christmas tree. It's a car with everything on it. It's had traction control added, those extra large alloys, electric seats and a fancy stereo. And let's be honest, when you buy a Porsche, very few people just buy the Porsche. They buy all the bits that go on it. If you bought all of these, well, you'd be spending more or less as much on your standard Boxster as you would to get a Boxster S. If it really was me who'd saved $30,000 for a Porsche, I think I'd hang on, save the extra $6 and buy the Boxster S. No, I wouldn't. Who am I trying to kid? Not in a million years. If I had $30,000 and I was itching to buy a Porsche, I'd buy a Porsche straight away. Ultimately though, whatever you decide, it's always going to have one thing that none of the others have got, and that really only that amount of money can buy, and that's the badge. And that is special. On the programme next week, Jimmy Buckley checks out the whole of the Volkswagen range, and I drive the Renault Espace.